I'll move you guys down here to my second screen. I just want to confirm you can see my slides.
Yes, we can.
Good to go? Awesome. So I do have two screens set up. So I do have the chat open in another window. So I'd love, as we get started, for you to introduce yourself and your business. Feel free to drop your social media handles in the chat so people can connect with you after the fact. It's really helpful for me as I'm giving examples or we're talking about strategies for me to have a sense of what type of businesses we have in the chat. So are you a service business? Are you product-based? Let me know what kind of industry you are so that we can tailor this presentation for you. And I did notice some familiar names and faces from our workshop last week, which is awesome. So I'm excited to have you back. For those who are new to one of these workshops, I am Kat, as Christina mentioned, from Social Cat Media. I am a certified social media strategist. I live out in the country with my wonderful husband and two small kiddos. I'm really passionate about community building and mental health. I added this photo in. This is different from last week, but this is on Sunday, me doing my first ever polar plunge, raising money for our local food bank. I know polar plunges have become kind of the norm of people taking their ice bath like every day. It is not my norm, and jumping into Chemong Lake in February was quite an experience for me. And back on the business side, I've had the pleasure of supporting thousands of businesses on social media, helping it make it more enjoyable, effective, and simple. And that's the goal for today as well when we talk about Facebook and Instagram advertising. So with Facebook and Instagram ads, they run in the same place. So I think a lot of times people just use the term Facebook ads, but if I ever say Facebook ads, it really means Facebook and Instagram because we can run things in both places. So today we'll talk about the setup of running Facebook ads. So we'll look at your Facebook pixel, the audiences you can reach, how to create effective ads, and how to develop a plan. So the biggest thing I want us to take away from today is really thinking of ads as not just one thing, like a standalone piece. We're going to talk about how it has to be part of a campaign or a larger marketing strategy in order for our money and our time to have the biggest return. And I see lots of great conversations in the chat. So we have real estate, we have a copywriter, we have some more service-based business, a barber shop. Awesome. Welcome. We're so excited to have you today. So with today, we will have a lot of information that we run through. The great thing is, as Christina mentioned, we will have the recording for you as well as the slides. And I have a number of resources linked. So because Facebook, Meta, makes most of its money from businesses advertising on the platform, the great thing is they do have a number of free resources because at the end of the day, they want us to be spending our money on their platform. Which we could have a whole other conversation about that. But the nice thing is they do have a number of free resources that will help you. So you'll have both the stuff from today as well as some follow-up resources from Meta to allow you to really dive into this on a deeper level as well. I wanted to show you one, this first overview. Facebook has like a really great overview of running Facebook ads in terms of choosing your goal. And we'll walk through all of this today. But as I mentioned, they really want to break it down for you as well to have us spend our money with them. So there is a lot of support. It can feel really overwhelming to dive into Facebook and Instagram ads, but we got you. So we're thinking about why we should think about running Facebook and Instagram ads. What we want to think about, as I mentioned, is it being part of a bigger picture. So we can use Facebook and Instagram ads to send traffic, so send people to different parts of our customer journey or funnel. And what I mean by that is if we think about how people interact with our business, It's very, very rare that someone, hears about our product or service for the first time and then books and purchases from us. We need to think about the journey or the funnel that people go through when they're deciding to purchase from us or work with us. So in the awareness phase, this is where people, they might not have ever heard of your business before. So we just need to let them know that we exist. In certain cases, if we have a really unique product or a service that fixes or is like the solution for a problem, some people might not even know that they have that problem. If I'm just trying to think of something a little bit like more out there, like not out there, but if I am a nurse practitioner that offers IV infusions for like hydration and vitamins, some people might not even know, like, oh, if like they're tired and stressed, that lack of vitamins, and again, I'm not a medical practitioner, so I'm not giving any any medical advice, but maybe that's the problem. They don't even know that it's a problem that they have and that there is a solution. So in that awareness phase, we're making people aware of our business if they've never heard of it before, or aware of the problem and that there is a solution for it. Once someone is aware of your business or your product or service, then they move into the consideration phase. So they know you exist, they know about your product or service, and now maybe they're following you on social, or they've subscribed to your email list. So they're in your universe. They're maybe engaging with your content. Maybe they're in the process of deciding, should I work with this copywriter or this copywriter? So they're in your universe, they're making those decisions. And finally, at the bottom is the conversion, when they decide to purchase from you or work with you. And as you can see, it is a upside down triangle. And so it's important to think about, as we're working on ads and even just our marketing in general, is we want to start with more people, and we're going to help it pare down to the right people at the bottom. So I think one of the biggest missed opportunities I see when small businesses are running their own Facebook ads is they're sending all their traffic down here to the bottom of the funnel. So they're trying to get anybody and everyone to purchase or to work with them. And that's not going to be the most effective use of your money, because people might not even know your business exists and they're not going to be ready to make that decision yet. So we really do need to think about, who are we reaching? Where are they on the funnel? And what messages do they need to hear at that point? But don't worry, that's what I'm here for today. We're going to walk through all of that. So as I mentioned, we really want to think about it not as just a one-time thing, but as an ongoing campaign or ongoing part of our marketing strategy. So if someone just sees your ad once and they're not ready to buy from you, they don't know that they even need this product or service, and we're sending them an ad, it's kind of a missed opportunity. Maybe we reach them once and that's the end of it. So we really want to think about what happens after someone sees an ad if they're not ready to buy yet. So if we're reaching people at that top of the funnel in that awareness phase or that consideration phase, we want to think about what happens next. And we'll chat about different strategies in terms of ads. So we can get really fancy in terms of ad funnels, where if someone sees an ad and clicks on your website, but they don't purchase, then they get a different ad from you. And each of those ads bring them closer to making that purchase decision. I think we've all been the recipient of that as well, where we've gone to a website, maybe we looked at a few products and we left. And then of course we see those shoes we didn't buy stalking us around the internet for the next few days. And that's the power of Facebook advertising. So people very rarely aren't going to make a decision on that first interaction, that first ad. So we need to think about, how do we keep them engaged with us and keep them coming back and consuming our content. There's an old rule, like I believe it's from the 30s, a movie exec coined the term the rule of 7. And the idea was that people needed to hear about a movie 7 times before they were going to to go watch it. And that has been like a golden rule in marketing ever since, that people need to hear about your product or service 7 times before they're ready to purchase. I think now in the age of digital advertising, social media, it's like the rule of 27 or 77 probably, because before, the only ads we saw were like, billboard, driving to work, we were reading the newspaper. And now social media, a lot of people are checking it right when they wake up. So by like 8 a.m., people have consumed hundreds potentially of marketing messages. And if your content is just one of those messages, it's really easy for it to get lost and not get the person to the next step. So we do really need to think about how can we reach people multiple times with different messages to keep them along that funnel. So when you should run Facebook ads, this is also a really important kind of foundation that you need to consider. So a lot of people think, okay, I'm just going to put $20 out of Facebook ad and hope for the best, or this post isn't performing well, let me boost it, or I want to make sales in this product, I haven't gotten a lot of sales, let me put some ad money behind it. It's really important for you to know that your product can sell organically before you put money behind it. Because if you don't know that it can sell, then you're going to be spending money testing, which we don't really want. So if you know people are going to your website, they're purchasing, or that they are going to your website and they're signing up for your email list to get information from you, to get your freebie, then you know that organic process is working. If it's not, if you are, I'll use a copywriter example, so a service-based business. So if you have people going to your website, and maybe they're viewing a page, but they're not signing up for the newsletter, then we want to think about, okay, what are the reasons they're not? Like, could we play around with the imagery on that page? Do we need to change some of the copy? Do we need to test a few things? So you want to make sure that the systems are working organically before you put money behind it. And you also want to understand your client and their buying process. So are they spending a month making a decision on where to get their hair cut? Or is it like a quick decision they make in terms of purchasing plants for their home office? Like, what does that buying decision look like? What does that process look like? Across marketing, so any type of marketing you're doing, having a strong understanding of your audience is going to be helpful when you're creating your marketing content. So I know for most small businesses, where we get started with advertising is with boosting. And I think most people have experimented with boosting a post before. And boosting does let you get comfortable with ads, but the downside of it is that the options are more limited than using Ads Manager. So boosting does allow you to put a budget behind a specific post that you've already posted. But as I'll show you going forward, using Ads Manager allows you to get way more in depth with your targeting in terms of who you're reaching, and also lets you really think about that funnel of who we're reaching and where they are in that buying process. So the things you want to be aware of when you are boosting, or if you've boosted in the past, as I mentioned, there's limited targeting options. And the biggest concern is that often the content is not designed to be an ad. So when we're creating content for an ad, we're really thinking about getting people in that moment to, sign up, go to your website, to do that next step. Whereas organic social is more about building that community engagement on the platform. So my recommendation is, instead of boosting, that we work in Ads Manager, boosting is a great option. Let's say like you have an event coming up this weekend and you want to sell a few more tickets, where it is a really like short time frame, a really clear objective, and you have a post that you think would be really perfect for it. But in terms of long-term ad strategy, we're going to walk through why Ads Manager is so great. Before we dive into setting up ads and all that stuff, there's a key piece of data and code that you'll want to have in order to make your marketing and your Facebook ads more effective for you to track. So what it's called is a meta pixel. And basically what it is a piece of code. So, you know, all the gobbledygook of letters and numbers that you add to your website. And by adding this code to your website, it allows Facebook and your website to talk. So if you don't have a pixel on your website, what would happen is if I'm on Facebook, I see your ad and I click to your website, that's the end of what Facebook can tell you. So all Facebook would be able to tell you is that 5 people clicked to your website. Once they got there, Facebook doesn't know. By including the Facebook pixel on your website, Facebook can now tell you, okay, they clicked this button or they did this next step. The other really great thing that a Facebook pixel allows you to do, it allows you to retarget people. So I mentioned earlier that example of the shoes you didn't buy following you around the internet. So the use of a Facebook pixel allows you to do that. And this is really, really great for targeting people who are interested in a specific service. So it's people that went to your ladies' haircuts webpage versus your men's haircut webpage, because the ad we're going to send to them is going to be very different. Or it's people that are interested in email copy versus website copy. We could create ads that are different based on what content they're consuming on our website. So again, Facebook likes to make things fairly user-friendly for us so that we do spend our money with them. So there is a great how-to in terms of getting the Meta Pixel set up. So depending on your website, like a Squarespace, WordPress, all of them will have plugins that make it a really straightforward process to add code. If you have like a web developer who works on your website, this is something that can also help you get set up. You'll just email them the code. As I mentioned, it's really, really easy, and they have step-by-step instructions for every different type of website. So depending on whatever your provider is, you can add that pixel to your website. I'm curious, usually I do a show of hands, but let's do a show of hands in the chat. Do you have a Meta Pixel installed on your website? Yes or no, or don't know? As I mentioned, it will track what people are doing on your website, what they're clicking, and who they are. So you can get a sense of demographics. Basically, it like pairs their Facebook and their website information together. This would be my first piece of homework for you. So even if you're not ready to run ads yet, you want to get your pixel installed on your website, because it will start tracking data starting now. And then when you go to run ads, whether it's in a week or in a year, you're going to have all that content and all that information. So it's going to make your targeting that much more specific and detailed, because you've gathered that information. So that will be your first piece of homework. If you don't have it set up yet, we have some no's, some not yet's, a couple yeses. So that will be your first piece of homework to do after this workshop. And Christina's been great at adding some of those links to the chat as well. And we'll make sure you have them with the resources that you get after this workshop too. I mentioned with boosting that one of the concerns is targeting, that we can't get as specific or as targeted as we could using Ads Manager. So I want to walk through those different audiences that we can think of creating so that you can think about who you can reach with your ads. And your pixel is really going to help with that. So custom audiences are ones that you can create based on people's engagement with your business. So a custom audience could be people that follow your Facebook page. It could be people that have gone to your website or specific pages on your website. Like I mentioned, they've been to the product page, but they didn't check out, or they've been to your services page. You can target those people specifically. So Bonnie has a question in the chat. Where do you find this pixel? So Christina did share the link in the chat if you scroll up, but you'll also have the link sent to you after the fact. And Facebook has some really clear instructions in terms of adding it. I'm going to do a walkthrough in a little bit of kind of the back end, and you'll see, like, do I have it installed? I'll show you where you can find that as well. The key thing with these different audiences, this is people who are in that consideration phase. So they have already engaged with your business in one way or another. And this allows you to already start with what we call a warm audience. So at any point, we could create ads for a cold audience, which I'll show you in a second. But this, with custom audiences, we can create ones that people who are already, like, they know about your business, they know who you are, maybe they've heard about you, and now we can get them closer to that conversion stage. So these are examples of what sources you can create custom ads from, or custom audiences from, sorry. So as I mentioned, from your website, you can even do it from a customer list, which what that means is your, like, email marketing data. So if you have an email list or a customer list, you can import their emails into Facebook and send ads to them, because it basically takes their email address that they signed up for your newsletter with and pairs it with their Facebook account and then sends them an ad. So this is really, really great at getting those people who are already engaged with your business. So do they like your Facebook page? We can get really, really specific. Have they watched a reel on your Instagram page in the last 3 months? So you can think about, who do I want to reach and how have they already interacted with my business, and get really specific in what stage they're in. The next audience I want to chat about, these are like my 2 favorite ones. So we have our custom ones that we're using based on engaged people, and then we can make a lookalike audience. And what a lookalike audience is basically a mirror of an audience that we've already created. So this would be considered a cold audience because they haven't engaged with our business yet. And when we think about a cold audience, there's 2 main ways to create one. One is if we are just doing targeting based on insights we may have of our audience. So we can go into Ads Manager and say, I want to reach men ages 35 to 60 who are interested in finance and fishing and blue jeans. We can get some, like, really specific targeting. So we can do that on our own, which is great because then we can get really specific. But if we don't know, like that overlap of finance, fishing, and blue jeans is a very specific insight. So if I don't have those insights, it's gonna be hard to get that key audience. So this is where lookalike audiences come into play. So a lookalike audience lets Facebook do all that work in terms of figuring out who would be interested in your ad. So if we've created a custom audience of our website, Facebook is learning about that group. So it's going to be, let's say, a whole random group of people that have been to that specific page on our website, which to us might look like a very random group of people. But Meta, in all its wisdom, can pull out insights. So it can say, oh, these people, they shop at health food stores and they really like sitcoms. It can pull out those insights that we probably wouldn't be able to about our audience. So when we create a lookalike, Facebook is going to take all that background information that it's learned about your custom audience and create a lookalike of it based on new people. So it's saying, okay, we're going to find people in Bruce County or in Ontario, wherever we set our targeting, that shop at health food stores and are interested in sitcoms without us having to do that work. So lookalike audiences are really great because it lets Meta do some of that like investigative work and get those insights about your audience so that you don't have to. And we're gonna make some audiences right now so we can look at what creating a custom audience looks like and how do we do that to create a lookalike audience. So I am going to open up into my Meta business suite. So this is business.facebook.com. And in your business suite, you can use this to manage any aspect of your Instagram and Facebook for your business. I do like to show this platform because it's really great in terms of letting you manage your Instagram and your Facebook in the same place. So when you go to business.facebook.com, it opened up, you can see messages from both your accounts. You can schedule content in here. So if you haven't played around in Business Suite before, I do recommend it as a tool for also just managing your organic social. You can, as I mentioned, respond to messages and comments for both Facebook and Instagram. You can also see your insights for your content. So it's a great tool to use. But it's also where we can access a lot of this good stuff for advertising as well. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to click all tools. And there's a lot of different tools that Meta has for us. But we're going to scroll down under advertise. So we can go to Ads Manager here, which is where we'll go to actually fundamentally create the ad. But before there, we can go and create these audiences. And Events Manager. So for Bonnie's question about where do you find this pixel, you're going to want to go to Events Manager. And there is where you can see if you have a pixel installed. And as well, those links that we'll send to you can help you walk you through that step by step. So right now, talking about audiences, we are going to go to our audiences tab. And Meta's going to kind of launch us into its ads interface. I'm going to go to my ad account. So here's an example of a custom audience I've created as an example already. So I named this audience Engaged Instagram. So this was people who have engaged with my Instagram. It's telling me the estimated size. So about 12 to 14,000 people. And when I created it back in October, I'm like, what months are they? So we're going to walk through creating a custom audience and then turning it into a lookalike to have that additional information and those new people to reach. So as a reminder, this custom audience is a warm audience. And think about that game you play as kids, like you're warm, you're cold, you're hot, you're burning hot when you're like looking to find something. So people at the top of the funnel, they're cold, they're far away from the end goal. We want to get these people that are warm, and we're going to give them like the next step. So I'm going to create a custom audience. And here's that screenshot I showed earlier, choosing where we want to source these people from. I am going to do, let's do website this time. This is my like dummy ads manager account, so I don't have a pixel set up. Look at that. So we actually won't do website, and I can show you my other one too. We'll do Instagram. So you can do your Facebook page, your Instagram account, whichever social media platform you have a more precise audience. So it's not necessarily which one you have more. I had this really good chat with a business owner at a workshop where her Instagram audience was a lot larger than her Facebook audience, but her Instagram audience was a lot more of like similar businesses. So she had a really cool business. She does like willow, like growing willow and then like doing workshops and stuff with it. So her Instagram account was a lot larger, but it was a lot of competitors or similar businesses and wasn't her ideal audience. Whereas her Facebook page, which had less followers, was more of her ideal audience. So whichever platform you feel like your customers are there and interacting with your content, that's which one you want to choose. So I'm going to go to my Instagram account. And it's loading. So the really cool thing, we can get really specific or really broad with how we want to do this. So I've picked my source. So which Instagram account? It's my Instagram account here. And we can choose the event. So this is the action that they took. The default is basically anyone who took any kind of action on the account in the last year, last 365 days. So in the 65 days. That gets me pretty broad. So someone who interacted with my business like a year ago, they might have forgotten who I was. They might not be interested in my service anymore. So I think I'd want to make that a bit more relevant based on the ad I'm running. So maybe like 60 to 90 days, the last 2-3 months. That way they might remember who I am. So we're just going to do 90 days. And in terms of the interaction, we can get really specific. So it can be people who started following, so like new people to your community. It can be people that sent a message to your account. Again, so those people will be really warm. They've taken that action to like connect with you, to message you. So if I really wanted people to purchase or to work with me, I might choose that one because I know those people have taken that first step of engaging with me. They know who I am. They for sure know about my services. And now I can kind of get them, like send them that information that's going to hopefully help them convert and become a customer. I'm going to name it. This is just for like on your end. So you just want to make sure it's something that is easy for you to remember, right, and understand what it is. So I'm just going to do Instagram messages 90 days. So now Meta's doing the work of figuring out, okay, who are these accounts that have messaged Social Cat Media in the last 90 days and creating that list. And as you can see, the next thing it's prompting me to do is create a lookalike audience. So at this point, I could create an ad and send people that have messaged my business in the last 90 days, send them an ad and let them know about maybe a new service I'm launching or about special pricing for February. Really prompt them to go and book that call or to purchase online. Or if I want to get more people into my wheelhouse, into my universe, I might want to go up a level on my funnel and look at getting some new people into my funnel. So this is where lookalike audience really comes in handy. So my source is that audience I just created. So everything that Meta has learned about people who have messaged me on Instagram in the last 90 days, it's going to take that and create a new audience. You don't need to worry about location at this point. You'll set that up when you're actually creating the specific ad. So at this point, you can just choose Canada or like Canada and United States, depending on your business. And with the audience size, the percent means is how close of a match are they. So at 10%, there's way more people, 3.2 million, but they're going to be less specific, less precise. Whereas when I get to 1%, that's gonna be the top 1% of matches that Meta can find. So you definitely, like, I usually recommend staying in like the 1 to 3 range when you're creating these lookalike audiences. So Instagram's or Meta's estimation here is that in Canada, there are 323,000 people that are very, very close, very similar matches to the people that have interacted with me or have messaged me on Instagram in the last 90 days. So now I have these audiences created. They are populating based on Meta's, background technology. They are getting that information. They're doing all that hard work for me. And so I can just let them populate. This is also something that you can do before you're ready to run ads. This is a way to get you comfortable thinking about who you want to talk to, thinking about what type of people are engaging with your business, what type of messages you'd send to them. Because similarly to the pixel, this information is constantly updating. So this engaged Instagram audience that I made 4 months ago is updating. So the people that have engaged with my business since the end of October are going to be included there. It's always pulling that information and updating it. So there's no harm in setting up those audiences, creating some of these audiences, because when you go to use them, they'll be ready for you. And it's a great way to get just comfortable with starting to think about using Facebook and Instagram ads. So I'm going to let these guys populate, and we're going to pop back in to actually, I'm going to do one more thing, because I think this is what people think about when creating ads. We just looked at that custom and the lookalike. I'll show you the saved audience just so you see it. My recommendation is like custom and lookalike are the main places to go, but saved audiences, I think they used to be the only option we had for ads and what a lot of people are used to. So this is when you get to choose all the different variables on your own. And I always like to show this too, just to like get a sense of like what Facebook knows about us. And not in like in a scary way, but in a way as business owners, we can let Facebook figure that out. We can let Meta figure it out. We don't have to, because in a saved audience, you can choose your location. So I can choose as broad as Canada or as specific as, I don't know if I'll do Bruce County. Let's see. So it's picking it in Walkerton. So we're going to go zoom out, and it's doing, it's because it's Bruce County Place. It's doing +2 kilometers. So this is a tiny little area. So it's saying 5,000 people in this little circle. We can adjust this circle. So if I want to reach, more of Bruce County, I can adjust this, or I could choose, instead of Bruce County Place, which I'm assuming is a road, or I can pick a city. So I'm going to pick Owen Sound, and the same thing, I can adjust this radius, so I can get as specific and like just get people who are in sound. Like I don't work, like I don't reach these other people. I just want these people. Or you can make it more broad. This type of targeting you can also do with your custom audiences and your lookalike audiences when you're creating an ad. But when you're doing a saved audience, you do it in the audience stage. So we'll just say we're doing Owen Sound plus 80 kilometers as our example. You can choose the age demographic. So if you have a sense of what age you want to reach. So let's say 37 to 65, we're going to do men. So now our audience at this point is about 60 to 70,000 based on Instagram's estimations of the audience. And this is where Facebook and Meta gets really interesting. So we can get these really specific and sometimes random targetings. And they're based on, you know, when you like a page or when you check in at an airport. These are all things that Facebook tracks. So if I just type in travel, it can tell me interests. So an interest would be like they've liked pages about travel. They engage with content about travel. You can see employers. So like, do they work in the travel industry? And you can also see behaviors. So this is actions they've taken. So frequent international travelers. This is the type of stuff that like Meta is tracking and compiling in the background based on our actions on social. So if I have a product that is like the best neck pillow for on an airplane, so you don't get, you know, you're crinking your neck after a long flight, frequent international travelers would be probably one of the people that I want to speak to. And it's probably going to be, so apparently 18,000 to 21,000 people in this area would qualify as frequent international travelers. So if I think that's a really good sense of my audience, I can create that audience. Now, this one is like almost a bit too specific because like generally we want to have more people. And the thought with that is just like I said, that Facebook knows a lot about people. So we can let Facebook and Meta do some of that work. So we don't want to get too specific if we're making a saved audience, because we want Facebook to test things and figure out, okay, who is the target of this ad? So if I change this to Canada, so we got about 2 million people that are in there. Let's make this Canada frequent travelers. So I could have that audience if I wanted to go back down to, so that was 2 million. If I go back, even if I just go to Ontario, make it a bit more. So now we're under 1 million. I could create Ontario frequent travelers, or if I do want to be more specific, where are we? Owen Sound plus 80. We're down to about 20,000. So this is going to be a very, very specific audience where I would recommend having it a little bit more broad, like location or interest based. And that's why I really love the custom audiences, because we let Facebook and Meta do that work instead of us trying to understand, like try to pick out those inferences from our audience. So those are the 3 main types of audiences: your custom, your lookalike, and your saved audience. As I mentioned, my favorites, custom and lookalikes. Those are the ones that I recommend you setting up, playing around with, and getting used to them, because those are going to be really helpful for you when you're creating ads. probably the most popular question I get when it comes to Facebook and Instagram advertising is determining your campaign budget. How much should I spend on ads? And the unfortunate answer with a lot of things in marketing, especially social media, digital marketing, is there is no one right answer. So your budget is going to depend on your goals. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have an event coming up and you want to sell some extra tickets and you have $50 to put at or $40 to boost a post, totally okay. Where business owners, I think, get frustrated with Facebook ads is that they're putting larger money at a campaign and they're not doing the pre-work to determine how much money do they need to spend or how many actions need to happen to get their goal. So if I want to get more people purchasing my candle, I want people to purchase my candle, I can't just put $20 and hope for the best, because if no one purchases, then I'm like, well, that was a waste of $20. I put all this traffic to my website and no one purchased. So this is the part of the workshop that I think stresses people out the most. And I have a slide at the end that's like your homework, your next steps. And one of them is to take a deep breath. Because it is like, it's a lot of new information, which is why we have lots of great resources. You're going to have this recording. But I'm going to walk you through goal setting with your ads. And this is something that doesn't just pertain to paid ads. This is going to be really helpful information for you across your marketing. A really key, it's just like understanding your numbers and how people are interacting with your business. So we'll use my candle as the example here. We want to work backwards using the information we can get from our website, from Google Analytics if we have it set up, to figure out how many clicks does it take to get a sale. So is it 1 in 100 people purchase a candle? Is it 1 in 20? Knowing that, I can then think about how many, if I want to sell 20 candles, how many people do I need to get to my website to sell those 20 candles? You can also look at how much is the average sale. So if the average sale of a candle is $30, you can start making some decisions on your budget based on your goals and how much money you're going to make from those ads. And this, I am the daughter of a math professor, but this is where I get stressed out about my math skills because I am not a math professor. And so I'm going to use the examples that I've written down, not try to make them up in my head because I don't want to have to do that math on the spot. As I mentioned, if you have Google Analytics set up, you're going to have some of this information tracked for you. If you're not using Google Analytics, this is also something to consider getting set up. It's free. It's a really helpful tool to understand how people are interacting with your website and how they get from point A, whether that is a Instagram post or a Facebook ad or a Google search, to point B. You know, what pages are they going to next? How many clicks did they take before they go to their end destination? So if you're using like Squarespace or Shopify, a lot of this information will also be available at a less detailed level in your website as well. So just getting comfortable, getting a sense of what's going on in your world in terms of marketing will be really helpful when you're creating campaigns, so that you don't feel like you are throwing metaphorical spaghetti at a metaphorical wall. So these are some really good benchmarks to have before you run ads, but even just like even if you're like, you know what, I'm not ready to run ads yet, this would be like really important information for you to get just in general. So like if you're launching a new product, what percent of your email list converts to a sale? And you can start getting more strategic with your marketing based on data. There's a lot of opportunities there. As I mentioned, it can feel stressful. Like if you're like, oh boy, this is not what I signed up for when I became a small business owner. I feel you, because same. But we're doing it, and it can be really helpful to take away the guessing game of marketing. I think a lot of business owners, we're spending money on ads. We're hoping for the best. We made some sales from it, but we're like, was it beneficial? I don't know. So doing this background work is going to be really important to make sure that it is working for you, and to learn what budget do I need to achieve my goals. So the example I've written down is from every 10 visits, one person purchases, and the average purchase is $50. Based on, let's say it's my candle. So based on a $50 candle, my profit of that is $25, let's say, based on materials and all that kind of stuff. So we know that in 1 in 10 visits, we're making $25. If we're spending $2 a click, that $50 purchase costs us $20, because those 10 people we spent $20, $2 per person to get them to the website. We have $25 profit left over, minus 20 is $5 of profit. So that's how we could see, okay, maybe I can't afford to run an ad if it's $2 a click. So then that's where we want to like test our ads, see how do we bring that cost down. This work is really beneficial, again, both for advertising, but also for organic social. And all of this stuff is not things that you need to do today, right? This is things and we're the beginning, we're almost halfway through Q1 of 2024. Maybe a Q1 goal is to figure out your conversion rate. So do 1% of website visitors convert? That would be some really good goals to set for yourself for the beginning of this year, because then as you make marketing decisions this year, you can have that data backed insight as you're going forward, whether it's advertising, or you're launching a new product, or you're going to really invest in your email marketing this year. This kind of information is going to be really helpful going forward in all the marketing that you do. The other really important thing when we talk about Facebook ads and determining our budget and like our setup is we want to give Meta and Facebook the ability to optimize. So there needs to be enough data for them to understand. So if I have a new website, and let's say in the last 30 days, I've only had 2 sales on my website, and I want to get more sales. If I put my objective or my goal with my ad is to get more sales, Facebook doesn't get enough data from that to determine who should we send these ads to, because it can't learn enough from those 2 people. So in order for me to be able to optimize for that, I would need more people. And that's where we think about doing an ad at the top of the funnel. So a lot of people would be, if I go back to, there we go, Canva. Okay. Reloading. Gotta love technology on a Tuesday morning. So if you think about that funnel that I showed you at the beginning here, a lot of people will be like, why would I spend money up here? And when I want to convert people, I want to get people to purchase. So the reason that you would spend money on that awareness and like those lookalike audiences, those new people, is that you need more traffic at the top of your funnel. So let's say like you don't have a lot of conversions, so you don't have that information for Facebook or Instagram to make those decisions. That's where we want to add more people into our funnel and keep them engaged and interacting with our brand. So I'm just going to pop back to where we were. So with determining your budget, as I mentioned, there's no like one right answer. It is going to depend on your business, your objectives, but you'll have that kind of that information to start making those informed decisions versus just putting money out there and hoping for the best. If we have a smaller budget and we want to boost a post, like totally go for it. Making sure that there is that really specific goal of that content. So that beware of the boost slide, what I really don't want people to do is just like boost a random post. Like, oh, here's a nice post I made. There's no real objective or reason to boost it. Just like I feel like I should or I want to, because that's not going to be an effective use of our advertising dollars. We really want to think about what is the objective of that post. So in terms of creating ads, what I'm going to give you some tips, but first we're going to look at some inspiration. So again, Facebook likes to keep things pretty easy or open for us in terms of sourcing information, and they have an ads library. So based on legislation, every ad that's created is public. So even if you're not the one targeted with the ad, you can still see what a business is running. So this is really helpful, to get ideas for ads, but also to see what your competitors or what other people in your industry are using. So the ad library shows you all the ads that are running. You can choose a category. The ad categories, if it's something, Facebook has 4 special ad categories. So if you're running ads about politics, employment, properties, or credit, they have some additional regulations. So if you're in one of those industries, we can have a link for that as well. But basically, it's like with employment, you can't discriminate based on your targeting. So you can't, choose a specific gender for the employment ad. Same thing with property. Like if you're advertising condos for rent, you can't choose in like what type of employment they have or things like that. So they have anti-discrimination kind of rules. That's why you see these specific categories. So I'm going to hit all ads because I don't want to look at one of those specific ones. And now we can choose a keyword or an advertiser. So you can search for a specific brand and look up their ads or a keyword. So at a last workshop, someone worked for hospice, or they were a massage therapist. So these are some different ones. So I have children's clothing. If we click on that, it's going to pull up all ads that are running advertising children's clothing. So this can be really helpful just to get a sense of what other people in your industry are doing and get a sense of what type of ads. You cannot see the success of the ads. You can't see like how many clicks they've gotten or how much money they're spending. That would be on their end, but you can see what type of ads are running. And I'll show you some examples and kind of not judge them, but critique them in terms of things that are good and things that we'd want to watch for. So this one here, Hunter and Shay Ceremony, a captivating children's boutique. Oh, this is cute. So it looks like there's like fancy dresses and stuff like that. The missed opportunity here is that when we have a big paragraph like this, and it's the same thing with organic social, it's really easy for people just to scroll by. We want to think about making them into bite-size points. Let's see a good example here. So the kids shop here, how they have these different one sentence pieces, it makes it a lot easier for people to consume the content. So they're promoting their maternity line. So they have this like opening sentence, embrace the special time with confidence and grace, because every mom deserves to feel beautiful, explore our maternity line today. So they've broken it down to all the pieces with their link to shop now. So definitely play around with the ads library to see what's out there, what your competitors are doing or complementary businesses are doing, because it's a helpful sense of even what's possible with ads. When we're creating our creatives for ads, we do want to think about what stage our audience is in. So if they've never heard of us before, what kind of information and what kind of visuals would they need to see to grab their attention? Something that works really well with like Facebook and Instagram ads when we are in that awareness stage is when we're using what I'd refer to as like an organic image. So this is something that's not a graphic. It's not necessarily even like a professional photo, but it's something that would look like it fits in their feed as if a friend or a family member posted it. So if I was a children's boutique, instead of having like the photo from in a store, like the mannequin with a outfit on it or the racks of clothing, maybe my image is like a little kid on the swings at the park. It's going to feel really organic to the person's feed and maybe like, oh, who is this? Who posted this? Without them even realizing that it's an ad. So images work really well in that awareness stage, and reels. So repurposing, if you have made reels for Instagram, repurposing those for ads. When people are in that consideration phase where they already know your business, they're aware of your service or product, this is where we can show them some carousel ads. And if I go back to ads library, I'm just trying to see if we have a carousel one in here. No, they're all one clickers. So a carousel ad is where we have multiple images, and I'll pull up an example when we go into Ads Manager as well. And when we're thinking about conversion, so we know people are interested, they've already engaged. That's when we can think about also using carousels and some single image links, which are all of these ones that we've seen here, where we have an image that is linked to the outcome, that next step. With copy, so the text of your ads, the reason why we talked about, boosting versus Ads Manager or creating content specifically for ads is because we want our copy to really focus on that outcome and really gear it to those people. Whereas on social, we're really talking to people that are maybe in that consideration phase where they've engaged you. So depending on if we're in the conversion phase or we're in the awareness phase, we're going to want to make sure our copy speaks to them in that stage. Most importantly, we need to make sure we have a clear call to action. So what do you want them to do next after they've seen your ad? This is also true on organic social. Generally on organic social, our call to action is about engaging with the post. So maybe share this with someone or comment. It can also be like click the link, shop now. With paid social, so Facebook and Instagram ads, we really just want to make sure, like, do we want them to browse the selection, sign up for the email list, book a free call to learn more, making sure that call to action is really clear and easy for them to understand. These acronyms here are 2 copywriting formulas that are great for ads. So like PAS is problem, agitation, and solution. This is really great when people don't know about they don't even know they have the problem yet. So like tired but can't sleep. Like if you start an ad with that question and someone's like, oh my goodness, that is me. So that's that problem. Agitation means you poke the bear. You really kind of play up the problem. So tired but can't sleep. And then you would have that agitation of like, no amount of coffee seems to wake you up in the morning. By 3 p.m., like you can barely keep your eyes open, but 11 p.m., your mind is racing and you're scrolling social until 1 a.m. So you're really like agitating that problem, like, making your audience feel really seen and heard, and then you solve it. So then like, okay, this is my guided meditation program can help you, etc., etc. Oh, a good question from Jenny. I heard a few years ago that Facebook didn't allow ads to use your. What Facebook doesn't let you do in terms of copy is identify people too directly. And what that, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. So you can't say like, you're a tired mom, because it doesn't want you to it doesn't want people to feel called out in their ads. So you can't like label people, if that makes sense, but you can use but you don't want to say like, as a tired mom, you know that XYZ, or like busy. Yeah, I'll get the specific language, but it's more about labeling. So you can't call people out specifically about like, are you a woman age 30 to 45 whose interests include XYZ, like all these different like targeted things on the back end that you've chosen, but you can use you and your. So I'll include some reference on that in the resources, because that's a really good point. Like at one point, Facebook was like super hardcore about what they would accept and what they would disallow. And like if your graphic had too much text, they would disallow it. They wouldn't approve it. They've really eased up on those rejections, but there are some key phrases to avoid. So I'll include those in those resources. Thanks for such a great question, Jenny. The AIDA acronym stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So a very similar idea based, but kind of flipped, a little bit different. So you start with a bold statement like, do you want or imagine having financial freedom? And then you're going to share details and give them that action to take. So the PAS is kind of on the, I don't want to say negative side, but you're really making them problem aware. So focusing on that problem, this is really great when they don't know, maybe even if they have a problem at this point. And AIDA is really great in that like consideration phase. So I am going to pop into Ads Manager for a few minutes. But I do want to focus on this to-do list as well before we go in there. So that we're not too stressed about our next steps. So your to-do list, and again, not a to-do list, let's say like Q1, Q2, 2024 to-do list. I want you to get that pixel installed on your website so that you can start gathering that information. Similarly, I want you to start creating those audiences so that they can start pulling in that information. So creating your custom audience, creating your lookalike audiences based on it. And I want you to think about calculating those conversion numbers, or just getting a sense of how much traffic comes to your website, how many sales do you get? Because that's going to be really helpful just in general with your marketing, any marketing you're doing. Most importantly, it should be number one. We'll do some like collective deep breaths, because I know there's a lot with running a small business, and now we're like the director of marketing, but like we just wanted to do our own thing. So we'll do some collective deep breaths and it will be good. I just wanted to show a quick few things in Ads Manager before we wrap up. As I mentioned at the beginning, I could go into Ads Manager right now for a couple hours and walk you through each piece. But Facebook does have a lot of really good resources. They even have, it's called Facebook Blueprint, and it is a whole series of workshops and online learnings for you. So it can go as specific as you needed to. So I'll make sure we have this specific one, but this is getting started with advertising on Facebook and Instagram. And it really walks you through today we really focus on strategy and understanding ads. This will walk you through the logistics, like how do I create my ad account and get my spend, like my payment set up? How do I create that first campaign? So that will be your go-to for the step-by-step, because everyone's experience is going to be a little bit different. And today we really tackled more so the strategy and how to create effective ads, and then the logistics. There's a ton of resources that we'll make sure that you have access to. And I see a question in the chat. So we have both WordPress and Shopify sites. They look seamlessly like they are the same site. Look like they are the same site, but we want it to install 2 pixels. So depending on the setup, and so is it Shopify like integrated into WordPress, or are they two like do they have separate URLs? I guess would be my question. If they have separate URLs, you would want to have different pixels. If it's separate URL. So I would recommend separate pixels, because how people engage on one site might be different than how they engage on another site. So then you can, in an ad, you could target people from both pixels. Like people that have been to this website and this website, but it lets you track that information differently. So that would be my recommendation.